Hey everyone, welcome back to the LBP Speedrunning Guide. Today we're going to be looking at Subway. Most of this level is skipped, so there might not be a whole lot to talk about, but the tricks can be a little difficult. Before the level even starts, there's something that needs to be set up. Partway through the level there's a blind drop where you have to land on a subway that's constantly appearing and disappearing. That missing sends you straight back to the start. Since the subway's position is a global cycle though, it's actually always in the same spot every time the level is loaded. So to keep track of its position, there's been two different tools developed, one by RBD Jellyfish and another by Kadiwa, which pretty much act as a traffic light for when it's safe to do the blind drop. Both are linked in the description, and it's really just up to preference which one you use. So when you're about to run the level, you'll want to pull up one of these two tools on a device and start it at the moment the entrance begins to open for the level, where it will keep running until you reach the blind drop. With that, now we can actually start playing. During this starting section, you should hold R1 the entire time so that you don't change layers when moving objects around. Run to the right and jump into the corner of this box to push it and the bigger one over. One way to time this is to do a full jump immediately after you reach this box that's back a layer. Push the boxes until you reach the cutscene trigger. When you get here, you want the left corner of the small box to be straight under Mags's elbow for a sequence of jumps later. If it doesn't land exactly where you want it, it's fine. You can move it to be in the right spot after you close the dialogue. Or you can just adjust your position while doing jumps later, which could be slightly harder. Another thing to note is that sometimes the next set of jumps are easier if the small box is touching the bigger box, so it may be worth it to push them together if you're having trouble with the jumps. This is the difficult part, where we'll be doing a double LCJ off the small box, then off of Mags's elbow. The timing is a little precise, so don't worry if you don't get it first try. Once you do, you should try to grab as high up on the right side of the lamp as you can. If you grab high enough, you should be tilted a bit on the side. If you're hanging underneath it, you'll need to redo the double LCJ. Once we're here, we need to get ourselves over to the ledge on the right by getting a jump off the lamp after swinging it around in the right way, which there's a few different ways of doing. The most common way that people use was found by Liam12221, which is called a leeway. For this method, there are three important swings with the lamp that you need to do. First, you'll need to line up a swing with the beam that the lamp is connected to. Try to get the lamp to be parallel to the beam when you start, then hold right. Then, immediately after the beam starts to turn left, start holding left. Keep holding left until the beam is turned as far right as it can go, then start holding right again. This will put you in a position to jump off the lamp. An alternate way to set up the jump off the lamp, which is much simpler, was found by K6, aptly named K6 Way. To do this, hold left on the lamp until it's about to do a big swing to the right, then start holding right. There's a few other ways to get up here as well, but they're much more difficult. After the double LCJ, you can land on top of the lamp, then RCJ off it to get onto the beam, then slope jump off the beam to make it to the roof. There's also ways to just get a super big double LCJ to get straight to the roof by combining it with a banana jump or something else. Not only are these other methods harder to get, but they don't even save time since there's a cycle later on that we're limited to. Anyway, now that you're on the roof, run to the right until you reach this drop. Jump down and try to land on this slope to convert all of your momentum into horizontal speed to bunny hop over the gap. Sometimes you can clip through the slope if you land on the wrong spot, and you'll need to do the start again. But after the gap, switch to the back layer when you reach the lighter coloured part, then try to line up another jump so that you land just in front of the metal, where if you do it right, you can fall behind the darker metal while still keeping your speed. Holding up on the analog stick can help block the layer change, but if you didn't get it, just walk back and fall behind the dark metal normally. If you don't go behind the metal here, you'll be stopped by gas and electricity when the platform ends. Keep running to the right behind the metal until reaching the end of the ledge. This is the blind drop that we were talking about at the start. So at this point, have a look at your subway skip helper, then jump off and hold left when it says that it's safe to go. You'll then land straight onto one of the subways, where you can then drop forward a layer, run down to the right and you'll meet Mags at the end of the level. Just watch out for the smaller hole in the metal. This is also the cycle that we said that you're limited to, since the subways don't actually start spawning until the level begins. So if you do the start pretty quickly, you can make it onto the very first subway that spawns. But this also means that if you go too quickly, there won't be a subway to land on at all, since the first one hasn't made it that far yet. But you need to be pretty fast for this. When you do the drop, there's a chance you'll be crushed by the subway and die. Or you'll actually change layer onto the light of the one that's higher up, and you'll still die. and need to do the entire beginning again. There's not much you can do about these things, but it's good to know about them. There's also a small time save you can do before you drop off the subway, where you start running right, then drop down to fall through the same hole as earlier, where once you land, you might be able to conserve a bit of your speed. But this can be hard to do with everything in the way. If you're doing this, just watch out for the light at the front of the subway, since you can change layout onto this one too and die. Now that you're down here and you've activated the checkpoint, the best way to get Mags's car out is to press the button and then quickly pull the lever to the left, where the claw will grab it just before it starts going back up again. If you are too slow pulling the lever, then it won't grab the car in time and you'll need to push the button again. If this happens, you need to wait for it to completely finish moving back upwards before pushing it again, since doing it earlier will cause the claw to only go down part way. Once it has grabbed the car, move it as far right as you can, then jump onto it as it's being lifted up. From here you can run off the car as it's moving to the right to get some extra speed to bunny hop over to the player center for the elevator. Just watch out for the door and try not to change layout onto the boxes, which might be impossible if the car happens to be angled upwards, but that doesn't happen very often. Once the elevator gets activated, all you have to do is survive until it reaches the top, which is easy if you just stand to one of the sides. When it is approaching the top, you should move closer to the middle and try to time a run so that you can jump out of the elevator early, but this is pretty minor. After this, just keep running to the right and quit early when you're about to touch the scoreboard. And that's all for Subway. The skip can be difficult when you're first getting started, so don't feel like you have to get it immediately. It's fine just to take the intended route and try to do that quickly instead. We'll see you next time at the construction site.